Could you touch on some of the differences in hiring and again what they look for the the largest high tech firms? And I'll pick on the FANG firms, right? Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and Google.
Yeah, so a few big differences in terms of just product managers across those
Yeah,
companies.
yeah,
Google, of certainly of the big three, Google, Amazon, Facebook, has the most technical bias in their process. Like um, historically, all their
the
PMs
most geeky.
engineers, yeah, the founders, founders and early
Sure.
CEO, all engineers. So like that, the kind of practice and mindset came from, it's all technical driven. What we do is very technical. Anyone who's working with the engineers needs to be technical. And they had an experience where the very first PM they hired, I can't remember who it was, but what they hired, they were told that like PMs didn't need to be engineers, and so they hired a non-engineer as a PM. And that particular person did not work out and they felt it slowed down the team. And so the lesson they learned from that was like, that's bad. And they've since kind of rolled off of that, but the bias is still there. Like that stuff gets baked into the culture. So they have the most technical bent, I would say. Facebook used to care more about the technical stuff, and then actually publicly came out and said like this is not a key requirement. Like our most successful product managers are not the most technical. Many times they come from a background that's totally non-technical. But they have a very strong. They probably have the strongest bias of hiring former like people that have an entrepreneurial streak. So I think of all the companies we are talking about here and what I was just mentioning, like the firm that probably pays the most attention, like if you don't haven't demonstrated that range, you're least likely, probably in my opinion, to get a job at Facebook. Like they like people that are really entrepreneurial, that have done that type of stuff before, because they feel it's the strongest signal that this person is going to be able to do whatever is required within Facebook to make a particular product work. Amazon, I would say, is the most MBA friendly, as we talked about, of the large tech companies. They, I think, approach a lot of problems reasonably so, given Bezos's background and how he likes to operate. From what is the business opportunity? Is there a real market here? How could we approach it? And then other things kind of fit in below that. Where Google almost in many cases on the opposite side is like, we have this incredible new technology. What do we do with it? How can we apply it in many different places? Like if you look at Google's current product strategy and like for the next decade, a lot of it will be around how do we take our strength in AI and machine learning and bake it into every product we have to make those better. That is a strategy that comes squarely out of like, here's a technology we have, let's go apply it everywhere in all our products and make things better. Whereas
And it
Amazon's
reflects an
out there,
engineering background.
what's that?
And it reflects the engineering background.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And why they care about that. And Amazon's out there just like, hey, we're, a bookstore and now we've got a movie site. And also we do infrastructure for startups and other people because they basically look around, they're like, yeah, there's a market here. We can make something work. And I'm exaggerating a little bit,
Of
but
course.
at a high level, I think that's where it comes from. The last one I'll touch on a little bit because I do think they have some unique aspects is, well, maybe I'll touch on two more, but Netflix, not just in product management, kind of across the board, has this bias against, yeah, a little bit of a bias against newer talent, basically. Like they generally hire folks that have already got industry experience in whatever role. And they have basically said that they think it leads to like a more mature, more competent talent base that they don't need to spend as much time training. So probably the biggest difference there is that from like Google or Facebook, which hire a lot of people like right out of undergrad, is Netflix has a bias for people with more industry experience. And then I think the other flavor that is worth mentioning is a company
Apple.
like Airbnb, or maybe you could put Slack in this bucket. But some of these newer consumer-focused startups that
Slack is
have,
actually business to business.
well, yeah, so that's true. That's a good point. So I would clarify that as They are like a B2B company that maybe is at the leading edge of like the consumerization of B2B. And what I mean by
Okay.
that is the product quality that they're delivering to an enterprise is basically a consumer quality product in like fit and finish.
Yeah.
And this is a big trend that you're seeing in enterprise startups, like the software that they're using is getting much, much better and more intuitive. But companies like that tend to also care a lot that PMs have a strong kind of a stronger like design sense and understanding of making a product that looks and feels intuitive and is going to be easy.
I was thinking that's also true of Apple, isn't it?
Yes, Apple is an interesting case though because they do hire product managers now. For a long time, Apple did not have the role of product management. It did not exist at Apple. And what they did was going back to this concept of a core team that we were talking about. You know, if you think about a core team loosely, you can kind of think about it on a spectrum. There's the people building the product. There's the people like selling and marketing the product. And a PM is somewhere, they're like a hub in the middle trying to coordinate all that stuff. And that is really like what the role looks like at Google and Microsoft and Facebook, Amazon, et cetera. Apple historically said, yeah, we get that. But like at the end of the day, like there's some people building the product and there's some people selling the product. So what is the PM really doing? Why don't we just have engineering managers and marketing managers? And that's what they did for a long time. Only recently have they had product managers, like true product
Okay.
managers. And that started to happen more as they're building a little more software. Like famously, Apple is a hardware company. That's where their roots are. And that's how they operated. And you like if you think about the role of product management, because of what you pointed out earlier, it's the spectrum.
Yeah.
Apple's role was basically like it's hard to find people that are actually really good at both. So just get a really good engineering manager, cover that end of the spectrum, and get a really good marketing manager for the other end of the spectrum.
That is interesting.